Welcome to the Coaches Preview Show. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director, and I'm very excited. Today we're talking Nolensville High School basketball. We've got Chris Ladd, girls coach for Nolensville here, Coach John Stigall. Gentlemen, welcome.
Good to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, I noticed with you guys when you came in, because I was at a tournament meeting for the guys in 11 AAA, and they looked a lot more stressed than you guys do. Not that you're not stressed, the tournament's coming up, but you guys, because you're the #1 seed, Coach Stigall, you guys are too. You're in the district semifinals. You know you have 3 games. It's got to mean a lot, Coach Ladd.
It does. It's a big stress reliever, as you said. Being that #1 seed is something we shoot for all year, and we get the bye automatically to semifinals. So, and Coach as well, finishing second. So, that's a big deal.
Coach, you like that, don't you? Because the leagues you've been in lately, that wasn't the case, right?
To me, it's always one of the most stressful nights of the year.
It is.
That one and done, where all the work that you've done throughout the season, it can kind of go down the drain if you don't show up on that night. So it's very relaxing for the last couple of days. But as of today, if we'd have played last night like the rest of our league, we would be back on the schedule. So it's a regular Wednesday, regular Thursday, and then we play Friday.
It's funny how if you're fortunate enough to finish 1 or 2 and you're in one of those leagues with 7 or 8 teams, by the time the game comes around, you've got the 8th seed like they're the LA Sparks or the Lakers. In your mind, you're like, oh gosh, how did we ever beat them? And they've got like 2 wins.
Right.
But that's what we do as coaches, right?
That's what we do.
Grind it out, stress it out. We do all those things.
Yes, lose sleep, for sure.
Let's talk about your seasons, because really when you talk about the boys and girls programs there at Nolensville, really it was a season of maybe different expectations. Coach, admittedly, you guys have 5 seniors that are in that rotation for you. Coach Stigall, you inherited a program that lost a whole lot, right? So I know the expectations were different, and what I've liked about seeing you guys work together, it's obvious that you're a team. It's real obvious that you're a team, but the bigger picture, the expectations were a little different. Let's start with your team, Coach. Talk about those expectations, because they're real, right?
Sure, absolutely. 5 seniors this year that have been with me since, this is their 4th year with me since we're such a young program. So that's been really cool. They're almost like daughters to me.
One literally.
One literally. She's a junior. She's a junior. And then two great juniors that play a lot. And then, of course, we're developing some of our young players. But, yeah, the expectations really were kind of on us last year. This group as sophomores won the region and went to the sub-state and had that expectation to get back last year. Didn't quite make it. And so this year, with everybody back and healthy, the expectation is the girls know it, they'll say it. Everybody expects us to go to the state tournament. We don't talk about that. We just focus on the next game and what we can get done. So, but it does put a little more pressure on you for sure. And, I'm sure the nerves are going to be up when we get to that region tournament like you were just talking about as we opened. Those games are going to be do or die. So we'll be definitely a little more nervous next week.
Talk about, and Coach Ladd, you and I have talked about this a little bit throughout the year, that state championship with the volleyball team. Obviously, your daughter was part of that team. That's got to matter too, right? That in your school, it's like, oh, this is something we can do. What a big deal for the school that happened.
We are, as a guy that's been around for a while, we are spoiled in our success that we're having across the board. And Coach can speak to it as well. I mean, it just doesn't happen like it has for us, and we've been really fortunate. Of course, baseball was in the state tournament last year, the state finals. So everybody's kind of getting used to it, and that puts a little more pressure on the coaches and the kids for sure.
Coach Stigall, the team you took over, lost quite a bit. You've come in and done a really nice job, and I was thinking too, one of the first things you might have thought as the coach coming in was, who made this out of the district schedule, right?
It was a very
tough.
challenging early schedule, yes, sir.
So, but
it wasn't all me, by the way. It wasn't all me.
But there is some give and take in that scheduling, right? Especially on what the teams are going to be like. If one team's a veteran team, you want to get them some good games, and maybe if the other team's not, you need to kind of back some of those off. But I commend you guys for having the schedule that you have, Coach.
I think there's definitely value in playing, playing up and playing tough competition, but you also kind of have to to weigh the pros and the cons of having as young a team as we had. You know, it did make us better, but it was also, there were points in the year where it kind of beat us down a little bit, and we had to figure out, once we started district play, we kind of had to figure out how we win and how we do things, you know, as a program, just me being a new coach and only having, you know, one returner. It was difficult at times, but I think we made it through it.
No doubt about it. Now, Coach, you're new to the league, but obviously not new as a head coach. Tell our audience a little bit about your background before you got to Nolensville.
I came from Clarksville Northeast. We were there for 3 years.
They did a great job there, by the way.
We
Couple state tournament trips, right?
We won a few games there, yes, sir. Spent some, like I said, spent some time at Northeast. Spent 6 years at Kenwood and Clarksville. Had some success there. Had a few other stops along the way, but I think it's my 17th year to be a head high school coach. And like you said, you know, Nolensville is a special place, and it's a spot that is. You know, it's fun to be with. It's fun to work with this guy, and you know, there's definitely an expectation of success there too.
Well, in WCS, we're lucky to have you, Coach. You've definitely added. I love how you're into the graphics. I noticed you updated your locker room a little bit when you first got there. I think that stuff matters, and I think it matters everywhere. But in a lot of ways, and Coach Ladd, maybe you can speak to this too. It seems like it almost means a little bit more in this area. I don't know why that is, but it just seems like that stuff better happen here.
Yeah, I think there's like talking about expectations, I think there's an expectation for how your program looks and what you wear and what your locker room looks like, and that's kind of a Williamson County thing. It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. And so that puts a little pressure on us for fundraising and you know, of course, the more wins you get, the more money you can put in the coffer as well.
That happens.
So that's right. So that works out.
Coach, I heard a rumor about Coach Stigall here. Tate Matthews was telling me that when you were in the other league, I think you were at Northeast maybe, this show was happening, and he said he either got a message or a tweet or something where you had made some kind of reference to the show before you actually arrived. Is that true?
I did. I think it was. We were playing Brentwood in a sub-state game, and he made a reference to how athletic we were at Northeast.
Yes.
And after the game, I texted him and told him that Brentwood had some good, if not better, athletes than we had. But yeah, I mean, I started watching the show back when Northeast was in the football league with Brentwood and Centennial, just trying to figure out when I was going to get my basketball guys back. So I was checking out the show then. But I mean, it's, you know, like you said, at Williamson County, this is a special place, and this show is part of it.
Well, we appreciate you saying that, and again, glad you're here. Coach Ladd, let's talk a little bit about your team now. Let's transition into talking about your season some. Tell our audience about your seniors. Obviously, you know, when you look at your box scores, because I get that you guys both do a great job of sending me information, so I'm up to date on my statistics. Mm-hmm. It's different people all the time.
It really is. We start three seniors: Grace Baird, Parker Leftwich, and Zoe Pillar, who've all shared MVPs of tournaments and district MVPs and region MVPs, and they just kind of swap around with who's winning what. So those three are really special. Parker and Grace are seniors, and then we also start Sydney Miculin, who is she's going to play at Emory-Riddle next year down in Prescott, Arizona.
And you can't be a dummy and go to that school.
No, you can't. You can't. And her academics are really, really strong. She's got a 4.39
wow.
GPA, so she's a top-notch player, and she averages almost double digits. So you got Zoe and Parker and Grace who average double figures. Sydney is very close. My daughter Cayman's a junior; she's close to double figures. So we've got 5 girls that are almost in double figures together collectively as a group. And then we come off the bench with 2 seniors in Izzy Phillips and Addie Keene. So you're coming off the bench with depth, with girls that have that experience. And then you've got 5 girls that can score on the court and defend really well. That's really what we try to hang our hat on, is our defense. And you know, we're a pretty solid man-to-man team. So it's been really fun with this group. They've all had big nights at times and kind of shared the spotlight. And the cool thing about them is they don't mind doing that. They don't really care who gets the credit, as long as we get the win. So they're a good group.
21-4 overall, 10-0 in the league. The final AP poll, you guys were ranked number 8 in the state polls. And then another poll, which I think is pretty legit poll is that Tennessee and that mid-state poll.
Yeah.
You're also 8th in that. That's all classes, all levels. So obviously your team's being recognized as well. Coach, before people just, and I'm sure they don't think this because they probably know about Nolensville basketball and WCS in general, you had to take your licks a little bit there in the beginning though, right? You guys didn't start off winning 21 games in year one.
Correct. Are you talking this year or back in year one?
I'm talking back, let's back up 4 years, right?
Yes. Well, I think we were 10-17 the first year.
Which is a great first year, by the way.
It was a very good first year. We had nothing but freshmen and sophomores that year, and that's really when I thought, okay, these kids can be special. So, yeah, we took some lumps and we were lucky to get it going in year two. But even this year, I thought you were referring to this year, we were 0-2 to start this year. Lost to Stewart's Creek and Dixon County, and of course they're good teams. But
in AAA.
In AAA, and we were on the road, but we flipped it around from there, and I don't know how many we won in a row. Didn't lose again until Christmas, but the strength of the schedule, like you were talking about earlier, I just feel like for a veteran team to see what's out there and know what the best looks like is just a comfort thing for us. That we know, hey, we can play with this team. We can go toe to toe. There's nobody that we should be scared of. We should know what we're getting into because we've played pretty much either in the summer or on our schedule. We played the top teams around here. Even on that poll you were talking about, we've played Upperman and Brentwood, and so we know what's out there and what to expect. So hopefully that's going to help us. We're about to find out. So we'll see.
I bet it'll pay off. Coach Stigall, as I look at some of your stats here, I've got 6 guys listed and only 1 senior. So you got a little bit different team in terms of experience and really even expectation coming into the season. Obviously led by Nathan Fauch. He's your guy, 1,000-point scorer, by the way. And you've got a couple 1,000-point scorers too.
Parker Leftwich scored 1,000 this year, yeah. Grace Baird's up to like 1,600 or something like that for her career.
So, Coach, talk about your team, because really it's a young team, right?
It's a very young team. We only have 2 seniors on the roster, Nathan Fauch and Matt Sebb, and we, Matt doesn't get to play as much as Fauch is our guy. That coming into the year, he was the only returning starter. He was the only guy really with any returning minutes whatsoever. So, like Coach said, as far as that schedule goes, that schedule was very unforgiving to us early as we were learning. But like you said, we've got a lot of our junior class is big. We got a couple of sophomores that are playing big minutes for us. We're really excited about the end of this year and going into next year. But Fauch has been he crossed over the 1,000-point mark last week, and if you've ever seen us play, you know who he is pretty quickly. He's very tough, hard nosed. He's kind of become the heart and soul of our team as we've gone through the year, as we've kind of adopted a little bit more of a defensive and tough mindset and DNA. He's kind of led the way on that.
Coach, I look at your stats, Fauch averaging 14 points a game, and then you've got several guys where it's pretty similar. Right. Watkins with 7, McAllister 6.9, Harris 6, Beatty 5.9, Byron 5. So it's been more my committee, I would say, because you need it to be, right?
Right. And Davin Watkins, he's our point guard, and he's kind of led us in a lot of areas this year too. He's kind of been our rock. I think he's the only one on our team that started every game this year. He's been really steady for us. Max McAllister has really shot the ball well. He's a really good 3-point shooter. Max was a transfer to us from Brentwood High. He played on Brentwood High's JV team last year. That should show you the depth of talent over there. He comes over, and he's potentially an all-district guy for us. But he's him, Riley, Byron, and we've just got a lot of those. Bryson Harris, our post guy. And we're a team. I know, Coach, you like to shoot the 3 as well, and he's actually our 5-man is actually our leading 3-point percentage guy. And it's not one of these where he's 1 of 2 or something. Right. He shoots the ball. He's shooting 45% from behind the 3-point line, and he makes us really tough to guard when we're making shots. We're not making shots; pretty easy to guard. But when we're making shots and we're spreading the floor and driving it and kicking it to all 5 guys, that's when we're playing our best.
Coach, I had the maybe misfortune at times to get a chance to coach against you. I I think your teams have always been known for that toughness and that defensive mindedness. But really taking it, I've been impressed with how you guys have taken advantage of the three. I watched your freshman team early in the year, and then I watched them late in the year, and they had really bought into that three-point shooting thing, and it made them a better team. It's like their identity was pretty obvious because it needed to be a three-point shooting team.
Yeah, we've actually, I don't know if this is a stat that I don't know if we're proud of or not, but we average shots taken per game. We average the same amount of twos taken as threes. But we have to find a way to score, and you have to play to your strengths. I've been doing this long enough that that's the styles may have to change as long as you've got as long as your core values and your foundations are there of toughness, and we're always going to defend, but and being team oriented. But how we score, that's a year-to-year thing, and with this group we're going to have to make shots. But I mean, just the job in general at Nolensville. If we're going to be successful, it's going to have to be homegrown talent. It's going to have to be developed. We have to be a developmental program, and that starts with the skill level, and that's what we're trying to start and do it from the ground up.
Coach Ladd, talk about that. You've been a coach for a long time. Coach boys, coach girls, AA, AAA. I don't know if you ever had any experience in single A, but talk about how you do have to do what Coach Stigall talked about. Whoever's in front of you, it's going to dictate how you play, which I think is the beauty of being a high school coach.
It is. I agree with you. It's the cool thing about the fact that you're going to roll seniors out one year and have a new group to coach, and you're always keeping your eye on those young kids. And that's one of the things I got to sit in on Coach's interview when he was interviewing for the job, and that's one of the things he talked about. And to me, I knew right away this is a guy we need to hire, because he got the fact that you got to develop the talent, especially at Nolensville. You got to develop, like you said, homegrown. If you don't want to put in the work, then you're in the wrong spot. Don't be a coach. Don't be a high school coach, because, I'm sure there's a few that just get to go out there and the talent's there, depending on where you are. But we do a lot of work. We do a morning shooting program it's optional for the girls to come, but they all have come a couple times, and some come every time. So. Yeah. It's just to get up shots in the morning, and we chart them, and I think it's really helped our shooting. And of course, we're always working out in the off season and trying to play in the spring and the summer, and so it's nonstop. It's nonstop, and if you don't develop your kids early, then you're not going to be very good.
Coach Stigall, I think I'm going to know the answer to this, but one of the things I noticed when I got to Franklin, I was at Beach for a long time, and those kids worked a lot on their own, but not like they did here. In terms of guys being in the gym, it was constant. Have you found the same thing there at Nolensville?
There are a lot of guys that want to put a lot of time in. I don't want to, if anybody at Clarksville Northeast is watching this.
Or at Beach. I love Beach, by the way. I love Beach.
I'll get some blowback because those kids at Northeast worked as well. But I mean, just, all you got to do is say the gym's open, and there's a lot of kids that are going to show up and really work on their game. Us being able to have the three-man skill workouts is huge too. Because all you got to do is schedule it, and we get to come in the off season and actually coach. And coach those guys up. I'm just a coach. I'm just a gym rat, so I love being in it. And we have a lot of guys that are like that as well.
Let's talk a little bit more about the tournament. We'll start with you, Coach Ladd. You had a team, because I've seen good teams over the year. Lucky enough to coach a few of them, and I saw your teams. I didn't go to all your games, but I saw some of your scores. Were you still winning, but maybe those games were a little closer than some people thought they would be? Maybe because you were resting people. I don't know. But just from afar, your team is one that I think about a month ago, they were ready for the tournament. You think that's true? Or is that me doing the armchair quarterback thing?
I think we're very hungry.
Yeah.
I think if it had started a month ago, I think we'd have been just fine.
Yeah.
We really, when we're at home, we play really well. We shoot it well in our gym, and some of those games probably where you saw we were shooting it just, there were some times we were just on fire. There's no other way to say it. It doesn't happen as much on the road.
Yeah.
So we get into some situations where we got to do some other things. We got to defend better, and that has been good for us because, we have to remember just what it really takes. And when you get to tournament time, you're going to see much better talent, and everybody's played you at least twice in your district, and we're going to see some different game plans. And so that was good for us to have to adjust to who's scoring and what are they giving us and what are they taking away. And So yeah, I think it was. That's kind of why the scores were up and down, and of course senior night was for us. Senior night was a really close game with Marshall, and bless our hearts, we were just so emotional because we had those 5 seniors. We didn't really play our best. It kind of came in waves, but we ended up getting the win, fortunately.
Well, and it's understandable too, because you talked about besides your own actual daughter, those girls are like daughters to you.
They
right?
really are, yeah.
So I can see that it was that way. Now, and again, I know you're not looking ahead of Giles. Obviously, Giles is right in front of you.
That's right.
But talk about that tournament being at Marshall County. I mean, that's been your toughest competition, right? Number 2 seed, and it's at Marshall.
Well, we're hoping Forest will take care of that for us, and we won't see Marshall. But you're right; they've been our big rival in the district, and it's a little concerning that we might be in a championship game with them on their home court. But as a coach, you know what I'm going to say is, guys, we beat them here past 2 years on their home court, so no different.
You know, it's interesting to me too, and maybe if I was in a situation where my own team had lost 2 games to a team, I've never totally bought into that can't beat teams 3-time thing. That drives me crazy. Yeah. And I think what happens, because I hear a lot of parents say it, and it would always aggravate me as a coach, like, well, the reason they think that's because you're saying it. If you can, I had a old principal, Frank Cardwell, like one of my heroes in life. He was the most common sense guy I've ever been around. Great principal, great leader out there at Beach. He told me one time, he said, let's think about this. If you and I get in a fight, not that we would, he said, and I have kicked your butt twice, what would make you think in time number 3 that you would have the upper hand?
Good point.
What do you think about that, Coach Stigall? Is that a pretty good analogy?
I've always thought that too. I think, sometimes teams are just better. I mean, we could go play the Lakers right now. We play them a million times. We ain't beating them because they're better. I think that's a bit of an exaggeration, but I do think that, sometimes the talent level or just teams are just better. You can play them 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and they're going to do it. If the talent level is close, I think that may have a little something to do with it.
Sure.
But, just psychologically. But like you said, it's just because everybody says it. That's really the only reason.
It's about matchups, right?
It is.
Basketball is all about matchups.
It is. It is.
Matchup.
Speaking of matchups, Coach, not that you, well, maybe you would say this here. You were very excited that Forest pulled the upset on Giles, right? That's your semifinal game. And don't get me wrong, Forest is going to be a tough matchup. It's a tournament. They've won a game. But that was, win number 4 for them on the year? So if you could have said a month ago, hey, you're the 2 seed, semifinals, you got Forest ahead of you, you would have probably taken that.
Forest is a very good team, and we're not taking them lightly at all. Giles is going to be a tough matchup for us for sure. We're not big. Like I said, we do shoot a lot of threes, and we try to play hard and get after you. Giles actually beat us once this year at Giles, and it was going to be a dogfight no matter what. But Forest they've got some good players, and like they're playing well right now too. But yes, at the beginning of the year, if you'd have told us that all we had to do was to beat the 6th place team in the regular season in order to host a first round region game, I think we would have taken that.
Well, let's talk about this too. In your league, what about having it there at Marshall? Because it's not communities coming out of that. Let's just say it, communities coming out of that side.
Yeah, they will be in the region tournament for sure. But Marshall's not in it. Forest is actually in Marshall County. I didn't know that until I got in this league.
Right.
There'll be a good atmosphere, but there won't be anybody with the clear advantage, I wouldn't think. But like you said, community is extremely talented. Coach Davis does a fantastic job there, and they're so deep. And they're so big. I mean, they've got 6'8", 6'7" guys across the board, which gives us problems. But we'd like to have an opportunity to play them again for sure. But we're going to have to shoot the ball well, and we got to get there first. But they will be in the region tournament. Whether or not they'll come out on top, I hope there's a few teams that have something to say about it.
I want to see matchup number 3. So I predicted last time you're going to come up with a win. So I think maybe I was just 1 game off. I'd love to see you play them and take home the district championship.
They really are. They really are talented. I mean, I think they're 25 or 26-1, and
for a reason, right?
Right. Early in the year, they had not played quite the schedule that us or some other teams had. So there may be a few questions. But after running the table in our district, they're the real deal. They're really good. But yeah, like you said, we'd like to have another chance at them.
Coach Ladd, I'll ask you both this question. I'm always curious about what coaches do when it comes to tournament time. What's a practice look like now for you? I'm sure it's shorter than it was in the beginning of the year, but are there some of those same fundamentals you're doing every day no matter what? Is it totally about game plan now, or what's it look like?
Well, we've scaled back probably the last 2 or 3 weeks, both of us, to about an hour and a half practice as opposed to 2 hours. I think if you're not hitting fundamentals every day, you're doing yourself a disservice. So we spend a lot of time fundamentals and getting shots in. And then, yes, there's game planning. Depends on the opponent we're playing. But actually what we're trying to do a little bit of this week, since we had 3 days, was putting in a few different wrinkles on some things because, people are scouting us and we're still working on our weaknesses. So it's still kind of similar to what it might be. Now as we move forward and maybe there's legs are getting a little more tired, we may back off on some things that we do. But it's pretty much a normal practice for us.
Coach Stigall?
Like Coach said, we'll put in a few new wrinkles and things too, but I think you definitely scale back. You have to have your horses there. You can't get them hurt, and you can't get them. They don't need to be tired on game night. But at the same time, late in the year, I think maybe this is a Coach Meyer thing or something. But it's about players, not plays. And when we're like early this week, we didn't have a game to prepare for. We really tried to work on the skill development side of things and just continuing to shoot, continuing to work on your ball handling, and continue to just get better throughout the season. Because the development part is not just in the off season; it's got to be during the year too. Because like you said, they're going to be scouted. We can have wrinkles to plays, but at the end of the day, guys are going to have to make plays at the end of the year, as you know. And we've got to continue to prepare them to make those plays and to keep their game sharp and keep their skill set where it needs to be.
Very well said, gentlemen. Appreciate you guys being here. I know you're busy.
Enjoyed it.
At the tournament, and I know you're excited too, and I'm excited. You got the district tournament here, but we also know 100% you're going to be in the region tournament.
Correct.
Some great days ahead for you, I think.
We hope so. We'll see if we can get Creed to bring the crew out and film one of these region games we might host, right?
Yes,
That would be great. Coach Stigall, appreciate you being here.
Appreciate you having us. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for the Coach's Preview Show. We'll see you next time.